Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Showtime Doctor. So, after I did the patch preview video earlier, Netmarble threw in another update and it basically said, "Yo, we got this 100-day anniversary celebration special event." Someone told me in my stream they were going to celebrate 100 days, and I didn't think they were going to, but apparently that's a big thing in Korea. So that's cool. Alright, sure. And then we got Janus, so we're gonna go ahead and do the banner right now, but before we do that... Oh, by the way that you get the new hero, I forgot to mention that, is... well, basically you do 7 advents in a day, and there's like missions. Go look at it real quick so I can explain it to you guys that maybe didn't catch that. So you see this collect and trade event, it's just... Advent, and then do that, and then they should give you some pieces of her, and then eventually you can go get it in the laboratory. So. But yo, as a special bonus in this video, before I even begin, let's see who my free draw is. 100-day celebration. This is part of what I'm assuming is the Netmarble Apology Tour. But if you guys don't know, this is an 11 pull. And it's a guaranteed SSR, so hopefully we get something good. Let's do it here. Good luck. Let's see, who watches my videos faithfully? Game Buds! Yeah, I'm calling you out, sir. You are a god. I always call someone a god before I draw. It's supposed to give me luck. I guess we don't really need luck, do we? Look at that beautiful rainbow. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. I've had, because I could skill up her too. I gotta build Leafa. Got 4-star too, so maybe that'll actually help me, get some more gems out of it. Let's see if we got lucky and got another one. Oh, of course we didn't. Oh, well, that's still really cool up Netmarble. I hope your guys' pulls go good. Whatever you end up getting. Go ahead and screenshot this so I can share this in the Discord later. Alright guys, so we got the new banner. So here we go. Janus, Mary, Ramu, and Ashley. If you're a long-time player, long-time in quotes, I guess almost 100-day player like me, most likely this banner's not going to excite you with the exception of Janus, but otherwise if you're like newer, maybe you don't have some of these heroes, there's some good stuff there. But so what I have to do, as I always have to do, because for whatever reason on the banner they always put the 5-star tactics, so I actually gotta go to the codex and get the 6-star. Fun. Like they put her in the or him, whatever. It seems like, Sheik mentioned this to me in my Discord, it seems like Netmarble lost their old artist because all the art lately has been drastically different, and they're really obsessed with traps and reverse traps lately. Like you notice, it's like every other character now. So I don't know. Whatever's going on. Alright, let's get to this here. So Janus. Dark Hybrid. Increase, this is a leadership skill here. Increase Dark Allies' critical strike chance by 30%. Pretty strong. Especially if you're running, well, Janus can definitely, so yeah, it's a guy. Janus himself can actually hit pretty hard, but then, you know, you got other hard healers with the dark, like Kane, Ashley, etc. So that'll help them out. Now, his passive, die, 100% chance to send the caster into telekinetic rage, just like Phoenix from X-Men. The Phoenix 5, for 2 turns upon ally's death. Telekinetic Rage increases caster's damage dealt by 80% and decreases damage taken by 50%. So pretty much, you're probably going to want to focus Janus first in most cases, unless... Well, we'll keep reading the abilities. I'll show you why stun might not even help. 100% chance to activate Telekinetic Rage for 2 turns. This is a 60 passive here. When the caster's buff is removed, or when the caster skips a turn due to immobilization. 50% chance to cast Madness on 3 targets for 1 turn. when the caster defeats an enemy. We'll get to Madness in a second, but that telekinetic rage, you just saw it, that's the 80% damage dealt, 50% less damage taken. And yeah, if someone removes a buff on him, so like Ruby's not going to do it because he's a hybrid. But anyone that has a chance to remove a buff, this dude's going to get way buffer than he probably was with the buff. So. And then also when he skips a turn due to immobilization, that's what I was talking about with stun. It probably works for like sleep and other stuff like that. And Madness, we'll get to that, but just remember 50% chance to cast Madness on 3 targets when the caster defeats an enemy, so that would be Janus defeats an enemy. 1 right here, inflicts damage equal to 100% of attack, 1 target that ignores defense. All the teddy bears apparently give you that power. 100% chance to inflict 30% additional damage if the target has any debuffs. So you pair that with the rune bonus, where you can get another 30% if the target has any debuffs, and you're looking at, once you skill this up, 220% base damage that ignores defense. Now, he's not critting every time like Cynthia is, but that's still super strong. 100% chance to inflict 50% additional damage. Oh, it actually skills up. Okay, well, I was wrong then. So if you skill this up all the way, this will go to 210, 240. Ouch. 240. If there's debuffs on the target on his 1. That ignores defense. 2, on a 4-turn cooldown here. Inflicts penetration damage equal to 200% of attack to 1 enemy. 70% chance to apply Madness for 1 turn. Madness stuns the target and inflicts damage to the target when removed. So essentially, you got a Rue on the other side in PvP, and Rue decides she's gonna get rid of Madness. At least I'm assuming it's a abnormal status. Rue's gonna take the full damage of whatever penetration damage of whatever this damage is gonna be. So same thing for anyone else who dispels it, like a Sid Bird, etc. So if this is abnormal status, your best bet's gonna be making whatever your primary targets are immune. Depending on what his AI does in PvP, it's probably going to target, I would guess, the supports, because he's a support damage-oriented hero. But now we see what Madness does. Madness stuns the target and inflicts damage to the target when removed. So basically, I believe that's miswritten a little bit. Whoever dispels Madness probably takes the damage, is what I'm guessing. But so this is the hard counter to Rue that you guys have been talking about for a couple weeks here. So I'm assuming, if that's the way the skill works, I'm assuming. And then when you skill this up, you notice that it starts with 1 enemy in 1 turn at rank 1. Immediately goes to 2 turns. I guess it just stays at 1 enemy, but it goes to 3 turns and 100% chance to apply Madness. Base damage of 320, that's gonna hit so hard. So looks like his 2 is gonna be really important to skill up. And then his 3, telekinetic explosion, level 1, inflicts damage equal to 300% of attack to 1 target, inflicts 70% additional damage when attacking support enemies. This is why I keep saying the anti-support here. You skill that up, 480 and 100% additional damage on support enemies, so 580 on support enemies. And then when you couple into the fact that if there's an enemy Rue or someone that dispels on the team, you skill this up, they're going to take 320% damage. It's looking really nasty for supports right now in PvP. So once people get their Januses build up, and you know how it goes, guys, people have been saving up their Evomon and their XPmon, etc. So this is definitely a solid pickup, especially for Dark, because Dark has needed, you know, a little bit more synergy, because Light's super strong, Fire's always been pretty strong, Water's gotten a little bit stronger now with Verdandi coming in. Wind, I think they're addressing Wind here in a couple weeks, most likely, but it's still pretty strong either way. So Dark had to step up, and this is definitely a step up right here. Good hybrid for the Dark. Now, we're going to go into the other characters. Man, dude, those Drayden Elites, man. nasty group. You see the power in all these guys. Like, if you look at all these guys, you would think, okay, Nyx is the worst hero, but Nyx is still really good at what she does. And then, of course, we all know Morgan's top tier. Callie can be really good. Eamon's basically a must in PvP. Verdandi, she's freaking ridiculous. Now you got Janus. If I had to pick a team, I would pick this team, even though they're the bad guys, but it's all good. You know, the other thing I noticed, someone pointed this out to me, no one in this game has facial hair. Except for, like, that dwarf, I think. I don't know, there might be one or two other heroes. Anyways, let's get to the other heroes. So we got Ramu's on the banner. Ramu, if you don't have her, pretty solid support. Pretty popular on the Knight Selector ticket. So we'll go into it now. It's a wind hybrid here. Increase wind water allies max HP by 20%. Very good on Tayo. If you take in like a, a Cordelia or Ian, nice to have their health higher. And then her passive restores all allies HP by 10% at the end of the turn. So a fat 10% heal on everybody that's not poisoned. Actually does a little bit of damage if someone is poisoned, but not 10% though. It's more like 500 or something, depending on their percentage health. And then her 60 passive, revive one time with 100% HP upon death. Pretty good. Although, to be perfectly honest, and I'm trying to think, have they done it more? I really wish that they'd stop putting revives as passives in this game. It seems like such a crutch to me, but whatever. So on her 1. 1's actually very underrated. Does base damage, but that stun chance seems to go off all the time, dude. So if you get her with counter, or you get her with something like that, she'll proc that stun a lot. You skill it up a little bit, you get the 160% base damage and 35% stun damage. That stun has cost me many PvP matches. Well, many, like 4. But they've all been super annoying. It's so dumb. Alright, 2, her second win. It's basically restore all allies HP by 20 and decrease their buff duration. Or debuff duration, rather, by 1. You skill it up. Gonna get the 40% and decreased debuff duration by 2 at max rank. On a 4-turn cooldown, that's pretty good. 3. Revive up to 2 allies and restore their HP by 40%, 7-turn cooldown. Now when you skill it up, percentage is going to go up, and eventually it'll get to 70%, and also revive 3 allies. That is, as far as I know, the most allies you can revive in the game, at least with a skill like that. So overall, she's a very solid support. If you got a Rue and you got, say, like, a Sid, if you have, a Karen, something like that, you don't necessarily need Ramu, but she's nice to have, and like I said, she's really good for the Tayo dungeon, especially if you're a newer player. So, but a solid hero if you're a newer player. If you're like me and you got her, it's whatever. Like, we don't hate getting copies of her, but, there's other stuff that we want. Oh, I forgot Eamon was in the league over him. Wait, was Eamon on the banner? No, I think I'm wrong about that. Quick check. It's Ramu, Ashley, and Mary. Yeah, that's it. Alright, well, Ashley and Mary, they're both in the same place, so this will be pretty quick. Alright, we'll do Mary first. So Mary, when this game first started, guys, like the first week or 2 weeks before, I think she got banned in PvP 1 week, everyone used to run Mary as leader because she was one of the bonus units, and at the time, she was a pretty hard nuker when we were all just building up our teams, and, well, those days were long gone up until they put in that $20 costume for her. So now I see people running her again with the curse meta teams. You bring her, you bring Nyx, you bring Sinclair, you bring Cheshire, and then you bring someone to do run interference like Eamon or somebody. But let's get into it here. So, and keep in mind her costume. I'm not gonna go over the costumes because people that want to pay for the costumes, they can pay for the costumes. But basically, the one thing to note about her costumes is it makes all of her nukes that I'm going to show you hit a lot harder, and her passives also do more stuff for her in a positive manner. So her leadership increased Dark and Water allies attack by 20. Decent. Revive one time with 30% HP upon death and resets the cooldown of all skills. Caster is afflicted with Curse of the Spirit Calling upon revival and dies again in 2 turns. I believe that can be dispelled, I'm not sure. If you have her outfit, she doesn't get that Curse of the Spirit. I believe she actually gets a buff instead of that. And like that made sense early. Now it doesn't really make that much sense because Mary's pretty squishy for the most part. But and then of course another self revive passive. Oh net marble. Oh Mobirum. Alright, on her one automatically targets 2 people, 70% base damage, 35% chance to cast a curse. It ticks for 30% of her attack for 2 turns. You skill that up. And it goes to 120. Or excuse me, 112 attack. 2 targets. Pretty strong. And then 60% chance to cast curse. So the cool thing that you can do with her is you can build her a little bit tanky and get her like a little bit of counter. And then she'll be throwing curses out like crazy. It's usually better than although actually multi's not bad on her because you'll hit with like both of these are like AoE style abilities and then she'll instantly follow up with a double attack. But the problem is curse actually affects, well I'll show you here. So inflicts damage on her 2 on a 3-turn cooldown equal to 110% of attack to 3 targets, 35% chance to decrease their recovery amount by 100. For 3 turns, that's actually fairly underrated right there. 50% chance to silence. Silence makes it so that you can only use skill 1, which is terrible unless you're Cynthia. The target for 2 turns, or excuse me, silence the target for 2 turns if the target is cursed. So that's why I was saying you kind of want curse to be up first before you hit your 2. And this is a 3 target, by the way. So I believe what happens is you target the primary target and it random picks 2 other targets. Is how it goes. And as you skill it up, it's going to get to 176% of attack. 60% chance to decrease recovery amount versus, I believe it's 35, yeah. And, that's pretty much all that changes, actually. And then her 3, it's a big AoE nuke. Inflicts damage equal to 120% of attack to all enemies, 35% chance to make targets unable to be revived for a turn. And as you skill that up, base damage goes up, chance to make unable to be revived goes up to 60% eventually for 2 turns. And 192. This used to hit really hard. It still hits hard if you have her outfit. It's not so hard nowadays. And one of the reasons that you don't really see her too much, even with her costume, is it's hard for her to be on the pure Curse Synergy team because they all open up with AoE ult, and she has an AoE ult, but most of their AoE ults revolve around Curse doing extra damage. Whereas her kit's a little bit more just hard nuking. She does have Curse, but it's a slower build up. So, if you're gonna skill up skills on her, I'd recommend her 3 just for the hard nuke. Hard as you can get it, and then unable to be revived is always useful. And then after that, quite honestly, your choice between 2 and 1. Because her nuke's the most important thing about her. I just realized I wasn't going over what skills to level up, so let me go back real quick. On Janus, I would actually probably say, as nice as this is, I would actually say do the 2. Because it's penetration damage for 1. Oh, that's weird, since it says telekinetic explosion. I wonder if I didn't say penetration. I wonder if that's meant to be. Oh, well, but yeah, this is penetration damage, and then it also is applying madness, which you probably want to apply pretty quick. Because if you remember what madness does, essentially stuns the target and inflicts damage to the target when removed. So if they have a Rue and the Rue auto cleanses it, then you're going to be dealing damage to that Rue and you've already nuked. Versus if you use his 3, yeah, you can hit support enemies really hard, but you probably don't want to use his 3 until you get telekinetic rage. Which means either an ally's death, or he has to somehow be stunned or have a buff removed. So, so you know, probably putting him like right next to your tank or somebody that's going to be primarily damaged by Rue when she's done casting all her support stuff is probably going to be because you want this guy to get this build. So I'm actually going to recommend the 2 over the 3. Now, if you feel like doing the 3 because it's a hard nuke, you want the cooldown down, that's fine. You know, there's really no wrong answer. And then there's a good argument for the 1 too because of the ignore defense, and this will eventually hit for 220. Or excuse me, 240. If you get the 30% rune set as well. So there's an argument for all 3 skills. But personally, I would do the 2 just because that's probably the skill most people are going to open up with. Now, oh, Ramu. Okay, we'll go over Ramu. Ramu, to be honest, I'd probably skill up her 2. Just because, yeah, you know, the heal doesn't get that high, but the get rid of debuff duration by 2 is really strong. Now, you can make an argument you want to come over here, have everyone revive with higher health and get the triple revive. Hey, I'm right there with you, but to be perfectly honest, how often are you going to use that for triple revive versus using this to heal people up and get rid of their debuffs? So, you know, it's whatever you think is going to most happen. Now, I gave you my opinion on Mary, so we'll go over Ashley real quick. And then if you guys are cool with it, we'll go look at the new hero. I don't know. She's probably in the database. I heard she has like a weird picture. Alright, so Ashley. Ashley's very underrated, guys, still to this day. Increase Dark Allies multi-strike chance by 30%. From. Okay. Especially with Janus now. That's going to be a pretty nice leadership to have. A 70% chance to apply Ebon Wound. 20% of attack to the target for 3 turns. When attacking, 70% chance to apply an Ebon Wound to a random enemy if the target has an Ebon Wound. Stack up to 10 times. So essentially, if you manage to get this to stack up to 10 times, like on world bosses or guild boss, something really tanky, whatever it is, you'll be doing 200% of his attack every turn, assuming you can keep that Ebony Wound stacks up. And so, this guy you definitely build attack. Sure. Now, 60 passive and inflict damage equal to 50% of attack that ignores defense when attacking a target with Ebony Wound, which is the debuff he puts up. Now, Morrigan can now put up Ebony Wounds with her outfit. So that's something to keep in mind for you guys that have spent money on that. And also keep in mind that this is not 50% of your damage ignores defense. This is 100% of your damage, and then an additional 50% damage that ignores defense if you're attacking someone with Ebon Wound. So he starts to hit pretty damn hard even with his 1. Now, his 1, you know, inflict 100% damage, 1 target, inflicts... It has like an animation that hits 3 or 4 times, so if you got some type of cheese-a thing that you have to hit 3 or 4 times because it only has like 5 health and it takes 1 damage, he's one of the guys you can take in for that. Inflicts 35% additional damage if the target's HP is 50% or higher. So like I said, raid boss, you know, stuff like that. Raid boss is never going to freaking die. So this guy's going to be dealing that bonus damage to him all the time. So there's no reason why Ashley shouldn't be in your party for the dark damage boss. You could probably build better teams for the omni damage bosses, but you know, it depends what you built. And then as you skill this up, base damage goes up, percentage chance to inflict extra damage goes up, or excuse me, percentage damage goes up. It's not a chance. So it's 160, then you get additional 60% if the target's HP is 50% or higher. Is 2, this is usually the ability you open up with. Return cooldown. Increase the caster's critical strike chance by 30% for 2 turns. Increase critical strike damage by 30% for 2 turns. 100% chance to apply 5 stacks of Ebon Wounds for 20% of attack to all enemies for 3 turns. So essentially, everyone on the opposing team, whenever they take a turn, they're taking basically a full hit from Ashley. As long as these 5 stacks are open, they're going to be up for 3 turns. And As far as I know, you can't really dispel the Ebon wounds, like even if you hit like a Rue 2 or something like that. I may be wrong about that. Maybe a Rue 2 could, but she's not passively getting rid of it. And it's most things aren't getting rid of this Ebon Stacks wound because that's basically core to how Ashley is. So also increases critical strike chance. I kind of glossed over that. And critical strike damage. 30% is what it starts with. And then eventually you'll get the 40%. And it's a 3-turn buff at that point instead of a 2-turn buff. So there you have it for that one. And then his 3, that's his big nuke. Inflicts damage equal to 300%, one target, 70% chance to decrease the target's buff duration by 1. Not super important there most of the time, unless you're fighting someone like a Nikita or something like that. 55% chance to stun for 2 turns. Pretty high stun chance. As you skilled up, eventually the stun goes to 3 turns. Gets to 80% chance. Your buff duration, decreased buff duration on your target, that's going to go to 2 turns. And it's 480% base damage. And the chance is 100% to do the decreased buff duration. So Ashley, he can actually be used pretty strategically if you think about it, because you're stacking all this, you're getting your damage bonuses. You give him the rune set. I always forget what's called, burst, I think it is, where it's 20% more damage on dots, and then just give him percentage damage for set, and just get his attack as high as humanly possible. I've seen Ashley's with like 9,000 attack. Now, granted, that's ridiculous, and I'm sure if you well them out, you could probably get to like 10k. And then, that's not even counting like buffs. So. But this guy is very good. He's just really squishy. That's his main fault. As far as skill ups go, I'd probably recommend, if you're doing PvP, I'd recommend his 3. If you're doing PvE, I'd recommend his 2. His PvP, this is going to nuke really hard. Done, which is real nice. And then this for PvE, it's just going to buff you harder and make your, you're hitting this all the time anyways, just to get your stacks up. So. Really good. I don't know for sure. And can someone tell me if you know, if you use him and Morgan in the new outfit, do they stack each other's Ebon wounds? Even though Morgan, I think she can only do 1 stack. Either way, but and then like your hard counters, guys. Ashley, I mean, quite honestly, if you don't know a holy hero that can rip Ashley to shreds, Christian, Saya, Esmeralda, I forget his name, but the Kung Fu dude. And we're getting into SR heroes that hit that hard, guys. And Britain, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 I missed, but Holy's so freaking powerful right now. You can counter Ashley fairly easily. Same thing with Janus, You're just going to have to like Christian Janus like immediately. And make sure you push back his skill cooldown reduction. Mary, anti-revive. Anyone with anti-revive is going to work well on her unless there's an Aemon in the group. And then, but once again, dark. So. And then Ramu. I don't get why they put Ramu on this banner, because they all had a theme of dark, dark, dark. One of these things does not belong. But Ramu, your best bet is going to be Morgan against her again, because anti-revive and Morgan is 30% more damage because Morgan is fire and Ramu's wind. Otherwise, Ramu can actually get very tanky, guys. Very, very tanky. Like, it used to be damn near impossible to kill Ramu before Morgan got in the game. And I don't mean like you couldn't do it, but it would take so freaking long with the way that the fire DPSs were for a while, because everything was like, alright, build, 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 build. Okay, you can finally do it. Alright, let's go find that new hero. Oh boy, look at this art. No, guys. Alright, so let's get into this. I see a lot of people excited for her. I have to admit, I kind of need to be convinced, so let's see here. Increase water allies multi-strike chance by 30. I am a fan of that because of Tayo. Really good. Also goes well with Verdun. You can get double crit on her passive. 80% chance, this is her passive. 80% chance to remove taunt from the caster at the start of the turn. Decrease the caster's damage taken by 40% for 3 turns when the caster applies Twisted Love to an enemy. And resets the cooldown of skill 2 when the caster kills an enemy affected with Twisted Love. So we'll get to that in a second. That all makes sense in a bit here. Love is Pain. 80% chance to recast Twisted Love on the enemy affected by Twisted Love for 3 turns when attacked by that enemy. Increase damage to the target afflicted by Twisted Love by 80%. So Twisted Love itself, from what I've seen, doesn't do anything by itself, but it interacts with all of her abilities. So essentially right here, anyone with Twisted Love is taking 80% more damage, and then if they attack her, the person with Twisted Love, pretty much she's taking 40% less damage from them. Make sure I get there. Alright, so Honor 1. Inflicts damage equal to 100% to one enemy, 30% chance to decrease the caster's skill 3 cooldown by 1 turn if the target has Twisted Love applied. And then you skill it up, and eventually, you know, the chance goes to 60% from 30% to get this skill 3 decrease. It stays at 1 turn, and her base damage goes to 160, so. Honor 2, 4 turn cooldown. Inflicts damage equal to 200% of attack to one enemy, 50% chance to stun the target for 1 turn. Applies Twisted Love for 3 turns. Twisted Love affects only 1 enemy at a time, so there's some more rules for you. But essentially, you remember that this, when she kills someone with Twisted Love, it resets the cooldown of her 2, so that's why. So she can immediately put Twisted Love on someone else and possibly stun them. 200% base damage. As you skill it up, base damage and chance to stun goes up. So eventually, the stun up until the 5th rank is 1 turn. It becomes 2 turns at the 6th rank. Base damage is 320, and it's an 80% chance to stun versus starting at a 50% chance. And then her 3, 6 turn cooldown, inflicts damage equal to 300% of attack to one enemy, 50% chance to disable the target for 5 turns. If the attack fails to kill the target, disable drastically decreases the target's attack speed. Ally and enemy turns are counted towards the effect duration. So 5 turns on a snare, that's apparently more powerful than the current snare most of us are used to. The water attack. Interesting. Well, so essentially she has a stun and a snare. And she has damage reduction along with damage increase. As you skill it up, chance to disable goes up, base damage goes up until the chance becomes 85%. Base damage is at 480. And everything else pretty much stays the same. Alright, well, looking at her skills, I could see how she'd be good. My recommendations would be... Man, that's really hard to turn that one down. Probably skill 3 for PvP, skill 2 for PvE. Because you're stunning. And you're putting Twisted Love on it. It's going to reset whenever she has to kill the enemy, or just the enemy has to die? No, she has to kill the enemy. Alright, well. Decrease the... Trying to think of like potential builds for her. She has multi as her leadership. Yeah, multi is probably not a bad thing. I don't know if she's like one of those tractor beam heroes that she always tractor beams whoever the Twisted Love target is with her multi. We're gonna have to wait and see because Netmarble sneaks that type of stuff in on us sometimes. But essentially, pretty much, it looks like your hard counter for her is going to be someone that silences, but Cynthia is going to be... Well, actually, Cynthia wouldn't be a terrible target. Just because, A, she's attacked, so Cynthia is going to disable buffs. Not going to disable the Twisted Love. And I don't know if this will... Looks like a passive, so it's be a buff. But still, Cynthia's removing buffs, or basically making buffs worthless, and then Cynthia's ignoring armor. So even though she's not the same element, she's going to be hitting a little less. Or, excuse me, she's fire versus water, so she's actually going to be hitting, like, I think it's 30% less, whatever it is. But still, keep her silenced, you keep her from doing her skill too. That's going to be the jam right there. Also, probably someone like Callie or Ruby, because Ruby could take off shields and immunities and buffs on attack and defense types. That extra damage. Alright, well, I'd say it's an interesting hero, and since she's basically free as long as we do 7 advents every day. I definitely look forward to getting her. Actually makes me curious. Well then. Anyways, guys, looks like we got another hero on the horizon. Although I think we all know there's a wind hero coming. Had some interesting abilities. Trying to think. Yeah, I mean the synergies for these heroes will come out, guys, as people play with them more. Hell, I'm sure I could look in PvP right now. Someone's probably already got it fully built up. Let's see. Yep. Oh, it's Mary. Never mind. I thought that was her. About to be like good old Kathy Hill. Alright, well anyways guys, at this point I'm wasting time. So, hope you enjoyed your banner review. You got any questions, comments, experiences with the new characters? You're excited for the patch? You're not excited for the patch? Whatever you got, let me know down below. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe. You can get more of this content in the future. I am Showtime Doctor, Showtime DR. You found my YouTube. There's a link in the notes to our Discord. You can come in, talk KC. We're also playing some other games, and then also I'm over on Twitch at Showtime DR as well. There's a link there. So, anyways, guys, good luck on your pulls. Let us know else as well what you got for your free SSR pulls, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a great day. Peace.